Hi, I'm Bernie Jaroslaw, Marketing Manager for Whitmix, and welcome to Quick Takes, where I interview people throughout the industry. Could be dentists, laboratory technicians, manufacturers, distributors, anybody who shares our common industry. And we take a look at how things are going today. In fact, kind of like taking a pulse of the industry 5 months into the pandemic. So there's been quite a few changes in the last few months, mostly positive. Laboratories have come back to life, at least most, and are doing okay. And this is what I want to talk to our guest today about, just to get a sense of what she feels about how things are going. So, today I have the pleasure, excuse me, of talking with Casey White, who's from anaxdent, USA. I'll just read a little thing about her so I don't make a mistake when I introduce her. Casey has been with anaxdent for 4 years as Director of Business Development, but as with many small companies, she wears several hats. She does inside sales, she's the only outside sales rep, she answers customer service calls, and just about anything else that's asked of her. Casey's territory includes Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, North and South Carolina, and Virginia. And yes, she is perpetually tired.
Aren't we all, though?
I can see why, but yes, I get it. So welcome, Casey. Great to see you.
See, it's great to see you as well. It's been a while.
It's been a while, but really looking forward to hopefully the next course where you'll join us at Whitmix.
Yes.
And first of all, everybody healthy and okay?
Yes, we are all doing well. So far, again, I'm the only one that's not in our Oklahoma location, but everybody there's been healthy as well. We only have one girl still out, but we're hoping to be able to bring her back in the next couple weeks.
Good.
Yeah.
We have that too. We have some in, some out, just depending, but so far everybody seems to be okay, thankfully. So I wanted to ask you a few questions. Like for instance, I mentioned about how some things have changed. A lot of laboratories are back in action. It took a while, but most are up and running and doing fairly well. But I'm curious about, since you're out there every day and you're in labs almost every day, what you're seeing out there. Are you hearing that labs are back, or are they still struggling? What do you think?
So I'm actually more office bound now since all this started, where before we kind of go out and kind of do different routes and cold call. People are definitely not seeing you without appointments now. And most places you go, will require you wear a mask and stay socially distant, and that's all great. So we're doing a lot more things over the phone and virtually like this. But we feel like most of them have come back. There's still a few, depending on their geographic location, where maybe they have more lockdowns from their state, so they're not able to open as much, or they're just more rules they have to follow that they're not booming. But for the most part, people seem to be, I'm going to say like 80%.
That's good. I have talked to labs that are for whatever reason doing better than they were pre-COVID, but the others who are still struggling a bit, not out of business, but they're 50%, 60% of what they were. So that's it's still worrisome, and hopefully for those labs it won't be too much longer before they're doing well again. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Now, considering anaxdent as a manufacturer or distributor here in the U.S., what changes, if any, has the company put into place? Has there been changes?
With us being a smaller company and having, basically right now we have 5 total employees, and only 4 of us are back to work and only 3 in the office. So staying socially distant is real simple to do. So only at meeting times do we try to, mask up and stay more cautious. And then I think once the people with children their kids go back to school, then we'll implement even more safety precautions, because we know that they just attract all the germs in the land. They're kids. They can't help
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's going to change everything.
oh
That's
my gosh, yeah. And I think
and
that's starting up next week, maybe in Oklahoma. So yeah, so we'll see.
okay. We'll see.
Mhm.
We have similar things in Whitmix where, for instance, when you walk in, you have to have your temperature taken every morning, and then of course we mask up virtually the whole day. If you've got a private office, then of course you don't have to wear it in your office. But when you leave, when you walk through that threshold, you have to
You
have
better have it up. Yep.
it, which is good. We have a lot of people working there, so that's really good. So no changes, like physical changes, structural changes to the office?
No, the way the office is set up, when you walk through the front door, there's like a little lobby area, and then
Yeah,
Tay has an office on one side, James has an office on the other side, and then there's the warehouse in the back. So everybody's seriously able to stay very well apart.
yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
That's the key, really.
It's
Well,
been really handy.
so the other thing is now we'll turn our attention to labs because you know it's a struggle for sure for all laboratories, but one of the things that has made I think the worry about contracting COVID a little less so is uh, the use of more and more digital impressioning and so on, basically digital equipment. Have you seen that? Do you feel like that's something that has increased the evolution, let's say, into digital?
I think that people that were maybe a little more hesitant to kind of jump on the digital train have sort of been forced to, and most people were naturally evolving that way anyway. I think this maybe just kind of encouraged them to do it a little more quickly, because like you said, it is easier. You sometimes have a faster turnaround because you don't have to wait for like long impressions to ship in the mail, and so you can communicate much more efficiently and effectively that way. So we're kind of seeing that trend. Everybody's moving that way, and like I said, this just kind of accelerated that.
That's true. And then, of course, there's the safety issue where receiving digital impressions is a whole lot cleaner and safer than it is receiving, you know, saliva and blood-laden.
Blood, yeah. All the things that were supposed to have been cleansed before they got put in the mail, but don't always happen. So
Right, that's true. That's very
the
true.
guesswork out of it.
Yeah, that's kind of it never was great, but now it's dangerous. So,
Right.
yeah,
Well, I mean, and you think about other things like, hepatitis and HIV. So it's always been a concern, but with, I think, this being a novel virus and so much unknown about it, that people are being overly cautious because I
yeah,
think that's like a misnomer. You can't be overly cautious because we don't know.
we don't know. You're
We don't
exactly
know.
right. Yeah, I believe that.
Mhm.
So the other thing is, obviously, there's been some major changes in the way we communicate and the way we share information in terms of teaching, of education. And of course, as you know, a lot of the shows, the dental meetings are changing in the midst of changing to virtual ones, like Lab Day, virtual meeting in November. It's going to be a very different world, I think, going forward for at least, I don't know, probably the next year or more, before we can all, be 6 inches apart and squished into a booth. So yeah, this is a big thing. How about anaxdent? I know you guys do a lot of education, a lot of
Right.
courses, and you do it with people. Of course, you've supported Whitmix for years in courses. We appreciate that. Do you see a difference there? Have you participated in virtual courses?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say I miss hugs. I miss the shows. I miss seeing my friends. I miss hugs and all that personal connection. And so that's going to be a hard thing to capture virtually. But we've started something, we participated with Whitmix before doing a virtual webinar
Right.
about digital picture characterization. And
Yeah.
then we've started hosting something every other Friday called Annex. And we're doing it live. Um, through YouTube and through our Facebook page. And we have different people on. So like the first one, we had Phil Reddington. He went over Pecton. The second and third, we had Florian Steinheber, who's kind of one of our composite gurus. He's done so much training for us. And then I think this Friday, we have the European owner, the guy who started Annex, who this was his crazy idea for this business. Andreas will be on an interview with Tay this Friday. So we're doing that. And then we've also invested in the thing with virtual learning, especially with composite, is lighting. Like you can tell right now, I don't have the best lighting. I'm kind of washed out. So if we were doing a denture, it would be hard to see the contrast in the colors.
Sure.
So we've invested in some better equipment to make that a possibility, and really push through some great just videos that we've archived showing step-by-steps, and people have been very receptive to that.
Good. Yeah, I think that's the way of the future, at least the near future, and maybe permanently, because, you know, we've only tiptoed or stuck our baby toe into virtual learning in the past, but I think now it's going to be a thing of the future. I think we've speeded up that evolutionary process for sure.
And I think what's really been great too is I feel like people just, it doesn't seem like it if you go on social media a lot, but I really feel like people are giving each other much more grace with, you know, technical snafus and different things, because we're all learning this. We're all trying this out for the first time. So I know for us specifically, we've had a really great rapport with our customers, and they've been very understanding. You know, if we try to do a virtual meeting and can't get something to go right, or it's not in the timely fashion that they would like, it's been really nice. We've had a lot of great kind of getting back to the people part of it and not the business part so much.
Right.
And that's kind of where we've tried to emphasize, like when I first came back, there wasn't a heck of a lot, you know, the phones weren't really ringing. So I just called existing customers just like, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just checking in, because the lab industry in particular is such a personal industry, and you build those relationships, and we all miss that. So you do what you can
right.
to make people feel connected.
Absolutely right. That's one thing that I think is somewhat unique with this industry is that personal, what a friend of mine used to say, the belly to belly relationships, you know,
Yeah.
where, you know, you're close with everyone. We have so many great friends from our industry, and that's I think kind of unique. It's pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, I love it, and I miss it, but it's been interesting to deal with those challenges to try to figure out how to still feel that connection while being safe. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you. We've been talking about what's happening now and the small changes that are happening, but what do you think the lab business will look like in 2 or 3 years? This is just a personal opinion. If you've thought, what do you think those changes might be? What's the lab industry going to look like?
My personal feeling is it'll continue much the same. I think that technicians by trade are very adaptable people. You kind of have to deal with unideal situations on a semi-regular basis, because it's the human factor, you know, so things hardly ever go exactly like we plan.
Right.
But I feel that it'll definitely be more virtual. I don't know that trade shows are really, I kind of felt like they were going almost towards the wayside anyway. Attendance was down. You had a hard time getting people going. So I feel like that part's probably, if it does come back, it'll be more things like what you guys do, which is definitely on a more intimate level and a more specified level, instead of these, you know, giant, you know, thousands and thousands of people shows. I just don't see that ever coming back. I think the people that have been growing, what am I trying to say? I think the people that aren't going to see this through are the people that were already on the precipice of retirement anyway. And this is just kind of, they're like, you know what? I don't need to learn how to run all this new stuff. I'll just go gracefully. So that's kind of sad, because I know it is almost like losing a limb when you've been in these relationships with these people so long. But I think that those people will end up coming on the education.
I think that's makes a lot of sense, and it's a great insight really into the makeup of dental laboratories. There's no doubt about it.
It's definitely not a succinct answer, but
No,
that's
no,
kind of
no.
what I think.
It's a good one, and it's an opinion, and that's part of it is the shows and the contact and the relationships. No doubt about it. And
Mhm.
change. It has been changing because here we are talking to each other through computers as opposed to in person. So yeah.
Mhm.
Well, do you have any questions of me or of Whitmix? You don't have to. We're just gonna. But
I think that we've tried to stay kind of connected to what our fellow, manufacturers and distributors are doing. So we've been watching you and Preet and Noack, and just kind of, I think we've all been in more communication, because even from a manufacturer standpoint or distributor standpoint, we really feel like we're in this together because we have so many of the same customers, and just kind of,
true.
it's like a brotherhood or sisterhood. I don't know what the PC thing to say is, but I still go with brotherhood. It's like a family, and we all are here to support each other. And like I said, I feel like everybody's had a lot more grace with each other and been more welcome. So I love seeing that you guys are doing shows like this. We're doing our annex school, and I think that's, it's just great that everybody's just so kick ass. We're just so awesome.
Yes, we are, and so are you. So, Casey White, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and sharing your insights and your opinions, because that's what it's all about. We do this as a series, and we've talked to a lot of different people, and I love the fact that we all have a shared future, so everybody's really invested and free with their opinions, and I love that. So
Yes.
join me, and we'll talk to you sometime in the future.
Thank you for asking me. Hopefully we'll get hugs in November.
Wouldn't
I'm
that be
hoping.
awesome?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I look forward to it. All right, you take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Barney.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.